and his army. He's keen to learn as much as he can about the tools of ancient warfare.
Shield of Achilles.
Man, that's beautiful. How are you doing? You well?
All right, how are you?
Good, man. Me, man. Hurry up.
On seeing the size of the production, Colin begins to realise the scale of what lies ahead of him.
It's just like the scope of the story. I mean, the scope of the story and the scope of the work that everyone here is doing. You know, the armoury, the costumers, the set builders, scale builders, the designers of the whole production. It's just dumbfounding. It's just bizarre. You know, it's just bizarre. This will probably be the last thing I'll think of, you know, when I close my eyes at night and I dip into sleep. So I'm just ready. I'm just waiting to get into that space, you know. I just want to get out there, get started, you know. Seeing all this is so tempting.
Oliver Stone has chosen Morocco to stand in for 4th century BC Asia Minor, the scene of Alexander's greatest conquests. For the coming weeks, a boot camp in the sweltering heat of the Moroccan desert will be home to Colin and his army of men.
We are creating a training camp here in order to provide a moment of truth for all the performers. The people today do not have an idea of what it means to be a soldier in general, and nobody has a personal experience with what it was like in ancient time. So they can see what it's like when it's hot and you're kind of hungry and you have a bruise or two and you've been running and you've been working hard.
You have a lot of time to think, man, being out here, you know. I have a lot of time to think Alexander and think of what he went through and think of what he put himself through, but also demanded that his men went through with him.
At the boot camp, Colin is joined by the actors who will play his generals, Alexander's oldest and most trusted friends, who would follow him to the ends of the earth. Among them is Ptolemy, played as a young man by Englishman Elliot Cowan.
Ptolemy is one of Alexander's closest generals, one of his companions. He's a member of the cavalry. He's grown up with Alexander, although he's a few years senior to him, so he's had a bit more experience with Alexander's father beforehand.
Philotas, played by Joseph Morgan.
Philotas is a general in Alexander's army, and he's one of Alexander's kind of close companions. And my father is Parmenion. I'm from the richest family in Macedon, apart from the royal family.
Clytus, played by British actor and former boxer Gary Stretch.
Clytus was possibly one of the strongest warriors in the Macedonian army. I would not imagine Clytus was the biggest diplomat or that he'd ever read a book. But he was an intelligent man, but really just bred for war.
These actors are going through the same rigorous physical training that Colin has been through. The boot camp is also helping Colin and his companions to understand the violent world that Alexander grew up in.
They reveled in personal combat, in life and death danger. And in a heroic society, anyone who wishes to lead must be the best in all of those things, whether it's fighting, hunting, eating or drinking, even lovemaking. He has to be the best.
The desire to be the best was instilled in Alexander from an early age by his father, Philip. Oliver Stone feels Colin must understand the extent of Philip's influence on his character. Philip is being played by Val Kilmer.
Philip was the king of the Macedonians. He established really all the foundations for what made Alexander great, literally, because they were all the same generals. He trained them all, worked with them all. They'd all grew up together. Philip was a grand character. He was loud, loved women, was a drunk, and probably almost unimaginable power in battle, as his son did.
As part of his background research, Colin has visited the tomb of Alexander's formidable father.
I knew it was based on, a true story, but you still always see it as fiction. It's make-believe, Then they saw Philip's tomb, and it was very upsetting. It was very upsetting. And the laurel leaf, gold laurel leaf that Alexander was crowned with, just really nailed me.
Alexander was very much Philip's son. He saw in his father bravery in the front line, right where the fighting was most dangerous. He saw charm in his father, a way of speaking that was convincing and persuasive, a political understanding, but it was a difficult act to follow, and that can impel a young son to try to excel on an even grander scale.
We all live under the shadows of our fathers. Whether you're obsessed with beating him or succeeding him or surpassing anything he's done, you don't really want to do less than your father ever did, I suppose.
As an ambitious father, Philip insisted that age 13 his son receive the best education available from Aristotle, the greatest mind of the time.
Now you think on all this, my young frogs, because in you resides the future of Greek civilization.
In Alexander's lessons, there's a lesson for Colin too. He's not just playing a king who is a ferocious warrior and killer. Alexander's someone who's been taught to think, and that intelligence will never desert him.
Colin must also understand the importance of another key influence in spurring Alexander's ambition, his mother, Olympias, played by Angelina Jolie.
At this time, 330 BC, it's a different way of living. It's a harder way of living. So she was a hard woman, and she was a frightening woman. Whether Alexander was great in the end or flawed or however he was, she certainly just wanted him to be as great as he could be. So in that, I can identify it.
Olympias, in my estimation, like many mothers do, put the mythology in his head that he had a destiny that was beyond the ordinary. Out of that belief and faith grows this monumental drive, urge, destiny.
His mother seems to be a very impassioned, maybe insane woman. Was it a certain trickle of insanity that gave him the confidence, the belief that he could do what he did?
In 336 BC, Alexander was thrust to power after the brutal assassination of his father. He was still only 20. His immediate task was to become a military commander to rival Philip. Colin now faces a similar challenge.
Giving me 1, 2, 3, 1, sir!
He has just 3 weeks more of boot camp to weld his men into a fighting unit and get his fellow actors to look upon him as their leader.
Preparatory position, down! Wait, what? Up you gotta get. Get up, get up, get up!
What he has to do is convince the men that he's leading that he's the real deal, that he has the presence, that he should have their respect.
Colin must now put everything he has learned so far into practice as he takes on the role of the commander. Colin Farrell is 2.5 months into his journey to become Alexander the Great. As he now starts to take control of his troops in Morocco, he's entering the most important phase of his transformation.
He muscularized himself, he built himself up, gained weight, and he viewed this as a gravity test, something that he had to go through a fire. He put it in his mind that I am going to be Alexander, and fought like a lion.